Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Biorex, I warmly welcome you all to today's Biorex expert session. Today's session is titled Detangling the Web Mysteries, Spiders and Their Secret Lives. Spiders are one of the most fascinating and diverse groups of arthropods, playing crucial ecological roles, particularly as predators that help regulate insect populations. Beyond their webs, there is an extraordinary diversity of behaviors, adaptations, and life strategies waiting to be explored. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Dr. Devi Priyadarshini. She is a zoologist, environmental educator, and museum scientist currently serving as Scientist D and Head of Office at Regional Museum of Natural History, Bhubaneswar, under the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Government of India. Her work focuses extensively on arachnology and biodiversity conservation, including studies on spider diversity and their ecological importance in agricultural systems. Her research has particularly explored the role of spiders as natural predators and their contribution to maintaining ecological balance. She is also involved in scientific specimen collection and preservation and has contributed to educational programs promoting biodiversity awareness and scientific understanding. Her work in arachnology also includes the reported co-discovery of Pteridion himalayana, the Himalayan happy face spider from the temperate forests of Uttarakhand. We are truly honored to have her with us today and look forward to learning more about the fascinating and often overlooked world of spiders. Without further ado, I invite Dr. Devi Priyadarshini to begin today's session. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm really glad to be there on this platform today. I'm not sure if you can see me because it doesn't show that my video is playing, which also concerns whether I'll be able to play my videos or not. Can you all see my screen or am I visible?
Ma'am, you aren't really visible.
I'm not visible?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Um. Okay. Then maybe I can switch my. Let me see. Let me play the presentation. If that is visible, even that works. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Fine then. Um, I'm not sure. There's some issue with the camera probably. Uh, Not sure if this works. Anyway, so this is visible, right? The
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then let's go forward, and I think yes. So I can put my camera off because it's anyway not showing my face. Okay, once again, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. And we are here to learn a little about spiders today. I'm sure all of you are from zoology background, is it? Or is it a mixed crowd?
But most of them do have a zoology background. It is a community of students with different uh, backgrounds, but we are all interested in zoology and biology in general.
Okay, sure. So, a little about me. I have been working on natural history for the past 10 years and on spiders probably for the past 15 years or so. And as much as we go ahead and look at their lives, the more entangled, like my topic says, we become with their presence in nature and to look at what they really do, how they do it. So it's not that we haven't come across more interesting animals, but every single time we look at these creatures, of all arachnids, spiders, they just blow my mind off with their simple and sheer intelligentsia. The way they carry their lives about their entire life cycle, it's so engrossing to watch them simply do their daily things, their daily life activities around themselves. So we'll go and see over this presentation. I'll quickly run across. I do not have anything formatted, so I try to kind of compile whatever we were currently doing. And I hope we'll be able to make sense. Let us move forward. So, yes, like you said, that they are biology students. I'm sure they all know that arachnids are eight-legged, eight-eyed creatures. And a little intro about them, definitely. Yes. So all these creatures you see here, they all come under the same group, like I said, the same taxa, and we'll go across and find out how different they can be in how many different habitats. So spiders are such creatures who have already tried to master the air, land, water, and almost all parts of the planet where they can exist. Like we know, they are omnipresent, except few extreme climates like the polar regions in the Arctic and the Antarctica. Other than that, I think you find them almost everywhere, like inside your car, inside your house, in your washrooms, in your drawers, wherever food is there, where not. So these diverse creatures, actually, if you look at them, how do they spend their day? This is a very interesting slide which I like to put up whenever we talk. So most of the time you see them resting. Now, if you look at the graph, it says it's resting. But what does exactly resting mean? We will go ahead and find out. So it's web building, or is it trying to prey in predation, or it's just resting? What exactly happens when a spider rests? We will find out. So these are the traits of spiders which we are going to precisely cover, not at length, but whatever time we have. Like, this is a very long presentation, but I'm not really interested to show you all the slides. Let us see how much we can cover. So when you look at butterfly lives, or moths or other insects, what we see is we are attracted towards the color. What they do, they pollinate, and then there is a life cycle. Sometimes mimicry, Batesian mimicry, Mullerian mimicry. But when you look at this taxa, which is arachnids, you have a range of behavioral pattern which you can actually see happening right in front of you. So I tried to categorize the entire presentation into a few where we can map what they do, but let's see how much we can cover. But most interestingly, what captures my attention most is mimicry. So definitely that will form a major part of my talk, and on and off we will keep talking about the other characters as well. So trait-wise, we tried to also show what they depict. If you can see the first picture, we'll go ahead in details as well. The first picture is that of a Citra arachne, but if you look at the abdomen itself, it looks like a gecko head. Then there is predation, there is maternal care, there is camouflage, like you can see in the yellow spider hiding on the yellow flower. And there is this silk henge, which is a very popular structure for at least people who follow arachnology closely. That was a discovery a few years ago from South America. And there is this tiny little theridid who makes this entire hinge like structure just to lay eggs at the center, which is there in the middle, which you can see in a conical shape. Okay. Like I said, my first hit will be at mimicry. So this is Asimonia tenuipes, and if you people are a little aware about spiders and what spiders we find across, probably you can relate to the scientific names, or else you can simply ignore the Latin names and just look at how amazing these creatures are when they are up and about in their habitat. So this is a male Asimonia. If you can, see the palps in front, from which we identify a male and a female. And they look at the hind end of the abdomen, it exactly resembles some other insects which have a similar antennae, similar eye, which are bulbous structures. So, why, after all, would Asimonia try to look like a wasp? The answer is very simple. Since they are tiny creatures, they have evolved in such a fashion that they would be mistaken by the predator as a wasp, which is mostly not a palatable animal. So if they pick up a wasp, they're going to be stung. That is the reason they would not mess with a wasp, which is why this creature tries to mimic someone where it can save itself by looking like the other animal. It is crazy how the abdomen, and if I had a picture, I'm not sure if we have, no. The female of this animal is very different from what this one looks like. It's pale yellow in color with little black streaks on its abdomen, and absolutely not what the male looks like. So it's very interesting to see how dimorphic sexually they are. And along with that, what all mimicry do they actually find to follow. Okay, this is again citrarachne, which if you see the anterior part of the body where the head is, they hide it with their legs. And what is mostly jutting out into 3D space is the abdomen, which if you look at carefully would either look like a mantis head, sometimes like the eyes of a frog. And this part mimics that of the snout of a frog. So probably the name Bufo. Now, why would any spider try to look like a frog is something I leave it to your imagination. But again, these are arachnids and they can be really, really strange looking and have evolved extremely uh, weird patterns to mimic. So here is a tiny dry flower, and this is the animal. This is the scorpion-tailed arachnura. And when you look at the animal itself, you won't be able to figure out if it is actually there or they are just dangling around like that, simply mimicking dry leaves. Do you see how they have positioned themselves as well? So it's not that the spider doesn't know how to orient itself. It could also be plainly vertical. But when you look at this picture, exactly the tail towards that side as the flower, the dry flower which it mimics. So if you suddenly, this is a gravid animal, but if it is a normal one, you would be surprised to understand that in plain sight, it will never appear as a spider or as one which has got 8 legs. They will always cringe all those legs to their body, close to the abdomen, and look like a dry flower. So it's crazy when you go out and walk out into the forest, and that is their way of evading predators. So some would just mimic, bark ends, some broken stumps in trees. Some would mimic galls. This is a Eriovixia. This is Poltis on the other side. Some would have faces on their back. This one is again a master predator, which is Amicia, and would mimic Oikophila very often, the red fire ants. And on the right side in the video, you can see how the spider cleverly, which they parade inside the colony of the ants, would finally go and predate one of them. So sometimes they are also mimicking the pheromone of the ant colony so that they don't get caught as an imposter. They are so smart that they would move the first two pair of legs to mimic the antennae, and also try to go and have one of them as food. So they're basically predatory behavior, and ant association with spiders is extensive across the taxa if you look at it that way. And this is not just in Thomisidae as to what Amicia belongs. We find it across Zodaridae, in Corinidae, in Salticidae. There is a simple subfamily in Salticidae, Myrmearachne, and so on and so forth. I mean, so many other species, other families where spiders and ants have been associated very closely. So accordingly, their names, not all would be called ant mimicking. Some are ant eating, and they are ant like corinids will be called sac spiders, but they resemble ants to a great extent. So ant mimicking spiders and the ones they mimic also depends on whether they are mimicking for food, whether they are mimicking to evade prey, whether they are simply mimicking to be up and about their the ant colonies. And sometimes, like the zodarids I said, they would be ant eating also. Okay. So this is another family which is Therididae, and they are trying to mimic worms. Sometimes they look like just snake-like structures with long legs, which they will never open like in this picture. And you see they orient themselves along climbers and small twigs. They would simply align themselves along with the similar structured vegetation wherever it is possible, and would be plainly invisible. They would simply hang like a thin green climber somewhere, and you will never be able to make out that this is Ariamnes. This is one of those theridids, and it hardly looks like a theridid because most of the theridids you see have got a 3D structure. Mostly at the abdomen is very prominent in therididae, but here you see an elongated tetragnatha like body, and the legs are also so long they would make a straight needle shaped thing of the entire body and simply lay like that. There are two species. This is one, the green one, and there is this brown one. This is trying to again mimic a worm, which is hanging upside down, and the head down, the abdomen this side will never look anything like a spider. And if you can, I'm not sure if this is clear enough, but there is this tiny raised structure here, which is the spinneret. That is where the silk would come out from, and they can entirely weave their entire web. So, looking at different taxa, different families, you would find so many animals, so many species, which would mimic different things in their entire niche. This is twig mimicking spider or poultice. There is one more genus which we find, which is Siphonolotus, and they would completely merge with the trees and the bark, mostly the broken twig heads, like the end of the abdomen suggests, wherever they are. And until and unless there is disturbance, they would never come out of their, camouflaged place until and unless it is nighttime where they have to prey. They build a web and they would prey. This is one more interesting species, although this is not my picture, but has been found in Western Ghats, Poltis mohuti. And when you see it, one part of the body is mimicking a weevil. The other part, if it closes its legs, would look like a dry twig. It looks exactly like a dry stem. So these spiders are, you can see the web also, the structure here, and they would resemble a dried flower or a twig somewhere, and would also choose similar habitat or vegetation where they would completely merge. So imagine an animal which evolves such a long abdominal structure must be sure that this would evolutionarily be of help, without which such kind of evolution wouldn't happen. So they have succeeded in trying to either evade prey and also find their niche in the habitat where they belong to, which where this structure helps them. Now it's really weird to understand why would such a long thing, which appears mostly like something which is disturbing and would be annoying, to be of help than a problem. So if you look at their lives closely, the way they hunt, the way they prey, uh, mostly at night, they to evade bats and other creatures who would actually come and attack the web. They have formulated such kind of structures where they would be able to survive better. Okay, like I was telling you, uh, if you hide the if you hide the legs and the head, this will probably look like a gecko head. So, mostly these structures on the abdomen of Citra arachne, sometimes they can move inside these structures as well. They would appear like the head of a gecko or the head of a beheaded mantis. They mostly look like this so that they can be fierce looking and would be able to dodge their prey, and they also build webs. So if they are a little offending to look at, probably then the birds and the other animals who could predate upon them would stay away. So this is kind of a warning symbol they carry on their backs, which would make them look like something dangerous and not something very palatable. Okay, a little about the happy face spiders. Yeah, we tried to look at these animals, and to our pleasant surprise, we found so many morphs in one particular species. This is a Himalayan theridid species, and it was discovered. I think we found it in 2023, but it was published just this year. It took us like really 2-3 years to establish and complete its entire story. Me and my co-author Ashirvad, we tried to work on this. And when he found this species, I was pretty sure that this is very similar to Theridion grallata, which is the Hawaiian species of the happy face spider, which we know. Now that we have an Indian cousin, we can go ahead and find out more about it. But what is interesting is we are yet to find out why does a tiny little spider as small as 3 mm to 5 mm or even less than that need to have so many morphs. If you look at all these structures on the abdomen, it is the same species, but somewhere the black color expresses, somewhere the red color expresses, sometimes they have dots in pattern, sometimes they have just a small structure there, and in few we have no structures at all. So we tried to collect the male and the female, and although we did not find egg sacs in this particular thing, but we have, I mean, this particular study, but we are still, we are continuing to look into it, and we are hopeful that we will be able to track down the reason why polymorphism is so prominent in such a small animal, which is almost insignificant. If you look at the color, they can easily, simply dodge their presence by merging with the leaves or the freshly grown leaves. But they took all the pain evolutionarily to find out various morphs on their back. Is the screen visible, Gayatri?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay. Now they always choose the underside of the leaves to dwell and to uh, inhabit, so that they do not get too much of sunshine, as their bodies are really tender, very soft bodied. So they would stay on the underside, like in this picture it is depicted, and they would carry out their entire life cycle just on the underside of these leaves. So interestingly, we also found some other creatures which are similar to the happy face spider around them, which are also in the similar pattern of green, yellow, black, red. And it was interesting to know that these animals inhabit these areas where the other animals also, like a pattern of co-evolution, they have found a niche where the other animals are also of the similar color pattern. Now it is up to us to understand and find out why do they choose these color patterns in nature, and how do they come together and stay in one place, such that the predators would be mystified or would be puzzled to understand what they are actually picking up. So we named it Theridian Himalayana to as an ode of respect to the mighty Himalayas, where it was actually found near Kedarnath Wildlife Sanctuary. And the pattern which you see is resembling a little like as if it's a smiling face um, on the abdomen, which is why they were called the happy face spiders. And if you can Google Hawaiian happy face spiders, you can very well see how similar exactly they are to the Hawaiian cousins. So it's also interesting to understand that other than Hawaii, these were not found anywhere else. Although we have more polymorphic spiders in the family Theridiidae, we do not see this particular smiling pattern on the abdomen. So this is interesting to see that this exact thing was found in an island which is Hawaii, and in montane forests here in the Himalayan region. So neither was the habitat similar, nor was the region the same, and you can understand how far Hawaii is from India. So definitely a very spectacular find, and we were really happy to report this. But a larger part of the story yet remains to be revealed, and we are really curious to find out its reasons why it expresses so avid polymorphism. Leaving it there, we'll go ahead to another species here, which is, I'm sure you feel like they are the same ones, but they are not. The ones you see below, now this is another theridid. Both of them are theridids in two different genera. And why we are talking about, while we are talking about mimicry, we yet fail to understand why would one species of the same family try to look like the other. If you see the first picture, if my cursor is visible, the first picture is that of Coleosoma blandum. And what you see below, beneath, is that of Chicunia niagara. Okay. This is the male of Coleosoma blandum. And here is a subadult male of Coleosoma blandum. So these are three life stages which resembles Chicunia so much so that until very recently, we have no reports yet of Coleosoma blandum, which we tried to we tried to report it for the first time, because this species was known only from the male, which was thought to be an ant mimic. But actually, only the male mimics the ant, while the female looks much like Chiconia. It is also interesting to understand that Coleosoma is much older a genus than Chiconia, which has been recently formed almost around 2009 from Chryso. So the taxonomic misnomers which happen because we tend to judge animals from their morphology only is vividly understood from this example of Chiconia and Coleosoma. So if you ever try to look at these particular animals, be sure what you are trying to see. So what you see below is again the subadult males of chikungunya who go ahead and form a different structure. The female would have this teardrop pattern of the abdomen, which you see, and a similar one is seen in Polysoma blandum. Okay, we'll come to predation and we'll see how cannibalism and to a larger extent spiders being omnivorous predators. They just feed on anything and everything they can land upon. They sometimes would prey by ambush, sometimes by um, you know hunting them down, running across the place and just simply hunting them. So, according to various guilds, these animals have been differentiated according to their feeding behavior. Like ground spiders would be runners who would run and predate. Like here, you can see a Sturinomorpha taking down an insect. Here, there is a Thomisus, which has taken down a bee almost double or triple its size. So, these are ambush hunters who would hide and wait for the prey. These are ground runners who would hunt down their prey. So predation in spiders is of course of very different kinds and types, like I have shown here. This is Oxyops again taking down a bee of a very larger size than its normal disposition. And here there is a tenid which is trying to uh, hunt down one of those other spiders which it has found. Probably this picture has been taken in Kerala, as far as I remember. Some more videos, of course, these videos are not mine, but some friends shared these videos, and I thought this would be interesting to show them to you here. And spiders do not really believe that they can only predate on spiders, but they have been known to predate on vertebrates, like you see here as well. And not just that, there are so many other kinds of animals they would predate on. Mostly tadpoles, if you look at fishing spiders, if you look at Portia, they are arenophages, so they would predate on spiders themselves. Like I said, some of the large-bodied spiders can take down birds, the African and the American, the Australian species. There are like the Wallith bird eater, and there are other spiders here in India itself who can feed on many other taxa of animals, where predation is predominant and very, very diverse across families. This is the famous Gryffindori, and we are talking a little about camouflage here. So, when we talk about camouflage, here we see some of the animals which are almost invisible in plain sight, or they would choose their habitat such that they would not be usually seen easily. Here is a Hersilia, there is Tetragnatha, which would align across grass blades in the paddy fields. Then there is Neoscona here, which would choose a place where it can simply rest all along the day and never be seen by the predator because of the color which almost merges with its habitat. So this is a very, very famous characteristic of this particular taxa, and they would take camouflage very seriously. This is one of my friend's picture where you can see a dry twig-like, leaf-like structure. But here you see the scorpion tail, and this is an arachneura, which has been photographed again probably in Kottayam as far as I remember. And here it is Rene, which tries to also merge itself while it's lying on concrete. So spiders can be really weird when it comes to camouflaging themselves or trying to merge themselves with their habitats. It is just that you need to have that eye to be able to find out what you are actually looking at. For the first picture, if you just pass by, it will look like a dry dead leaf. which has got this dark tan color. But unless and until you look at the legs carefully and you see that there is little silk also, one would never be able to tell, not a layman at least, who would not know about spiders, would ever be able to tell that this is definitely a spider which is trying to look like a piece of dried leaf. More of camouflage here. I have tried to zoom this picture, which is why you can see the Pandicitis so clearly. But otherwise, on moss grown bark, if you try to look at Pandicitis, which is a huntsman or popularly known as the lichen huntsman, you will never be able to make out that they are there, and they are so still. I want to take you back to the first initial slide where I said that they would rest. So why do they rest is as most of them would ambush their prey, they would simply merge into their habitats and stay put, stay still, and just keep waiting. So that not just conserves energy, but also makes them wonderful predators when it comes to strike with lightning speed. In the first picture here, this was taken somewhere in Karlapat, probably in Odisha. Uh, you see just grains of sand around, and if you focus your eyes and you can go closer, you would see that there is a spider which is almost flat in its body and is from the family Selenopidae. These animals would be so fast that you can hardly capture them, and they would use all their legs to make sure that their body completely camouflages with the environment. So that is how they would actually, try to save themselves from being very visible. That is the first way to protect themselves. Oh, more of weird structures here, both of which are not my pictures. The first one is Nikki's picture, of course, Nikki Bay. And this one is probably from Hyderabad, as far as I remember. Here they make weird faces. If you turn this and you turn your phone in case you're using one to join this meeting, you can see that there are eyes and tear-like structures. There are eyebrows, a little mouth over there, some Halloween structures like they say. This is a bark-dwelling Chairostris and this is Poltes. And we are yet to understand why would they have these faces on their back where they completely hide the head, the entire legs, and would only keep this part visible. So all what is understood as of yet is to make themselves invisible, like this bark dweller you can see here, that they it has completely tried to close its head with the legs. It is wrapping itself around its own body. And here it is trying to make faces which would look like, once they move, it will look like some other creature, like a bug or something which is moving with some dangerous looking structure on its back. That's what they try to make themselves look like, so that they are not easily picked up. Okay. More spiders which use weird ways to hide themselves in plain sight. This is Meotipa with exacts here, and this is Hamadruas on one single thread-like. Sorry, this is Hamataliwa, not Hamadruas. Hamataliwa, which is a lynx spider with its exact on a single thread-like silk line, on which it tries to dangle with the entire exact and tries to stay there till the babies hatch. Here also there is exact, and this animal would simply lie on its side, like you would lie on your side on bed. The same way it would lie on its side, and it has translucent abdomen such that it would look like the leaf. Some of them also mimic the veins of the leaf on which it is present, and they would never be visible that they are there. Look at this fungus patch on this leaf. They would choose these kind of niche areas where they can simply go and lie down and not be visible. So if you look at the color pattern on the body, the fungus pattern here, you would understand why the exacts are colored this way. And they would, once in position, they would completely merge with the surrounding color pattern on the particular leaf which they are dwelling on. Interestingly, I always think what makes the spider understand that it back looks like a mirror, or the back looks like a drop of water or a dewdrop, or like we see in Phytocia. I'm not sure if it is here, probably ahead. How do they understand that their back has got this particular structure? For example, in this case, this is cyclosa, both of them they are. Here there is some mud structure which they have tried to pull up from some place to hide inside. Here there is trash line. They have an entire orb web, but also along with it they have a trash line. So they're popularly called trash line spiders. And see, they weave it such that they can exactly fit in between, and it is so amazing to see that the body pattern on the spider is also such that they would look like one amongst this particular trash gathering here. And if they close their legs uh, even further, they would completely look like one single line of trash hanging there. So, for this spider to have so much intelligence to be able to collect all of it and put them together in a single line, weaving it with silk, it takes enough of gray matter in your head to do that. So, they have been doing this for the past 4 million years and have survived so much, so many extinctions, and so much of what do I say, the way the world has changed over so many epochs. They have survived all of it. Let us look at maternal care. This is one of my favorite areas where I look at spiders and their engagement as parents for bringing up a brood or an egg sac, and how they do it. I'm not sure if the video is playing here. No, it is not. But yeah, you can see different animals across in this particular slide. And the first one is Oleus lamarcki. The second picture also, it's babies which have come out. It weaves an entire web structure out of leaves. This we had found it in pistia leaf in between a wetland, and it was completely safe inside over there, which we brought about from that place to just check. And then we found that it is actually guarding. So what we did was we tried to deliberately tear a part of the entire the nest. And then we saw that the mother there aggressively comes out and tries to weave it back again with silk. So these are really, really protective parents who take care of their babies until and unless they hatch and become independent to be able to at least find food. In the center, you see a lycocid which tries to attach its egg sac to the hind part of the body. With the spinnerets, it will simply tie a thread to the egg sac and then keep moving around without having any problem. Then we have Pandava here, crivelet, silk. Then there is a salticid here which tries to turn its eggs. I'm not sure, the videos are not playing probably. Then you have Portia, which is one of those salticid which builds an entire web. Most of the salticids would not build webs, but they would just build egg sac retreats or silk retreats, like Myrmearachne. But this one would create an entire 3D web and keep its egg sac in the center, guarding the babies. So I'll tell you a little more about Portia as we go ahead when we look at cannibalism. Then you have Angias here and skytoads, very different patterns of carrying their egg sacs. Some would not carry, the aranids would typically never carry their egg sacs. They would simply build a egg sac, put it on the silk somewhere near a plant or a branch, and then guard it from a distance. Sometimes they don't even guard it, they just lay the egg sac and they would vanish. Coming to further maternal care, we have the first one is Bretus, the other one beneath. Uh, Okay, it's getting a little kind of a monologue. Are people there, or is everybody listening? I want you guys to write something in the chat box. Can anyone identify the other one below? I cannot see the chat box though, but I will.
Ma'am, I'll let you know if somebody
Okay,
responds.
okay, fine. Right. So we were here. Not just that they take care of the babies, they go ahead and sacrifice themselves as well. So, in a family called Eresidae, where we have Stegodiphyus as the only genus which we find in India, uh, there we see that the maternal care goes to an extent where the mother sacrifices itself and the entire body of the mother. That means she dies basically inside its own nest. Uh, okay, there is a video which is playing finally. Not able to, I'm not sure if you can see it. Like I said, we had opened this part of the Oleus's web. I mean, the retreat it created for the exact, and it tries to weave it back and close the exact. Okay, let me see if this one is playing. Yes. I just hope it's visible to everyone and it's playing at a good speed.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
So it uses the plant material which is present there to weave the silk. And this was a close-up of what we could get of the spinnerets in action. You can see how they anchor from one point and draw silk lines to actually make a mesh and then create more of it to make it into a thick silk layer. It is very interesting for us to observe the entire thing and how carefully the mother was guarding the babies, that it had to rebuild the nest over and over again. And we tried to do this to see how long does it stay with the babies, and it tried to do this, and it was there with the babies until all of them hatched and were free to wander about. Okay. Oh, this slide was supposed to be about colors. Yeah. So when you look at colors in spiders, we'll go back to matrophagy in a while. When you look at colors and iridescence in spiders, probably Siler and Chrysilla would take the first spot. But other than them, there are more animals who have beautiful colors on their back. And especially if you can think of the peacock spider, which is Maratus, there also you find amazing colors on the body. And this also is mostly to make it look like something which is threatening, something which is very bright in color and would not be easily picked up by a predator. Also, iridescence and color is also used, like in case of Stenolorellus lacerti and many other spiders as well, not just that one species, where it is used for courtship. So they can wag their abdomen, they can wave their legs, they can raise their legs and make ant-like movements. Sometimes just wave around in front of the female to uh, say, "Hi, I'm here to do business," so on and so forth. So in spiders, we find colors which are really, really interesting and would, you know, amaze a person. I have forgotten to put Fintella here, probably maybe in another slide. But there are so many species, not just in salticids. Like the first one is Hamadruas. This one is Camaricus from Thomisidae. The other one, these two are Siler. This one is Chrysilla. So, so many actually, where we can find color and iridescence. If you can be out in during the daytime, you can see these ones with really pretty colors. A little about natural history. I think I can skip the wasp stories because the association of spiders and ants was one thing which we talked about. That of spiders and wasps is something even more intricate. So I'm sure you know about the Scalifron wasps, which are the mud dauber wasps, thin-waisted wasps. They can really make pots and put spiders inside them, and they can be so precise in calculation that we can find exact number of spiders in each cell of the pot. Like you can see here, one cell has been focused, and all philodromidae inside that. So we had more of these stuff, and these are the advanced stages of the pot which the wasp has made. But when we pulled out the spiders to see what exactly, it had collected an array of spiders from the entire garden, some of which I had never seen before, and they had put stuffed in exact numbers in each chamber. Okay, that was something very interesting to understand, that they know how many spiders will be required for each baby to grow up into an adult wasp. These are some of the images where you can see the larvae attached to the body of the spider, and these spiders are not killed, but they are just put in ICU kind of a condition where they are paralyzed only, and they do not have consciousness, but they are not dead. So only wasps have that precision of injecting exact amount of you know whatever format of formalin they use into the body, of formic acid for that matter, into the body of the animal, where it is only paralyzed but not killed. Okay, more interesting crab spiders which we found. There is one interesting little guy here, which is the male crab spider of a thomicid, which got latched onto the female and was accidentally picked up. So the male was alive. If I have a video, I would definitely show you. This is the wasp, and we had unhatched wasps from the pot which we had tried to collect. Okay. When we talk about spiders, it's not possible that we do not talk about silk. And we'll go quickly about this because it's a little technical and all may not enjoy what is cribblet silk and cribblet silk, and how do they make it mechanically strong, how do they make the shine come about in the aranid silk. So if we have a dedicated session for silk, maybe we can cover it there. Silk plays a very, very extremely important role in their life cycle, in their entire life of any spider whatsoever. And they can be of various types, of different structures and composition. These structures which I have shown here are actually used along with the spinnerets to basically weave those kind of silk. And if you have to see some very interesting silk, you should look for Eresidae wasp nests. These are some of my pictures which I took during winters, which were dew laden silk, and you can see the entire architecture. So architecture in spiders is something which they are known for. Every time they are referred to, they are called with the name of the silk, like makdi ka jala, in Hindi. Sometimes they would only refer to web of the spider, that uh, uh, people getting entangled in something, they would try to uh, kind of denote with the silk of spider. But let me tell you that this is one of the strongest uh, natural fiber which we find in nature. However much Bollywood may have tried to demean spiders by saying wrong things about them, but they absolutely are in glory of having this wonderful, wonderful feature of being able to make silk out of protein inside their body using so many glands. And this is one character which is not found in many other animals, although so many insects, including ants, also make silk, but not as strong and as useful as spider silk. So this has gone into bioengineering, where people have tried to make bulletproof jackets out of it. They have claimed to make this as a natural fiber, which is the strongest, being used for surgery inside human bodies, whatnot. So bioengineering apart, but silk in itself is a wonder material which needs to be studied and has been studied very extensively. This was the picture I was showing you in the first introductory slide. This is the animal which actually creates it, and it is impeccably beautiful if you look at the structure it has created. Okay, one more video from a friend's group where a bird actually got stuck in the web of spider silk. This is the tent web spider of Cytophora, which we find in the winter mornings. Like I said, if you walk along forest trails, you would easily be able to find these kind of silk. Okay. So weird ways of existing with Nephila around. Uh, okay, ignore the background noise. With Nephila around, they weave huge uh, silken retreats for themselves, or big 3 meter, 2 meter webs for themselves. And they have an array of other creatures who would dwell. So sometimes these are kleptoparasites, like I said, it's written here. They are the ones who would steal leftover food from the web of Nephila, and they would simply exist on the peripheral areas. Nephila, being so big, would not even care for the tiny argyrodes which keeps hanging somewhere. And these ones are pretty smart to mimic a droplet of water or dew. So when it appears prima facie, one wouldn't even know that there is a water droplet hanging somewhere. So they complete their entire life cycle in the web of another creature. So imagine how interesting it is that some animals are there simply and plainly to support the life cycle of other animals. Okay, this is the scuba diving spider. Probably this is now been included in the IUCN threatened species list. Argyroneta. Um, we do not have reports of this spider from India, but this has an interesting mechanism in which it survives, where it carries a bubble of air along with it to breathe and dives down into water to hunt. In my first introduction only, I said that they are animals which have mastered not just the air where they build silk webs, they have also gone into water to hunt, like Nilus in Pisauridae family, Dolomedis, which is a fishing spider, into Dolomedidae, a new family which has been segregated recently. This is one more of such a family which goes underwater and carries along with it its oxygen mask. Okay. This is an interesting case of cannibalism, like I have labeled here, where it says that arenophagy and food induced egg laying behavior in Portia. We tried to rear Portia and its exact, and there we see that while feeding was extremely important for the animal, without feeding on spiders, the egg laying was also halted. So after one exact, Portia became a little uh, dormant. We tried to feed it with moths, although it fed, but it was pretty disinterested. Once it was given a spider feed, immediately it started laying eggs, and we had babies which hatched. So I was unsure if the exact is actually fertile or it is just unfertile eggs. But then there were babies which hatched out of it, and we could ensure that probably food also ensures that egg laying is effectively possible. Arenophages have, I think, Coryzops is another areноphage which also predates on spiders only. And similarly, there are other animals in the animal kingdom who would, I mean, amongst spiders, who would predominantly prey on spiders. So Portia is definitely one of them. Okay. Coming to matrophagy, like I said, this is part of maternal care where it gets to the extreme situation wherein the female actually lays its life down for the babies. And here you can see this is the web or the nest of Stegodiphyus, which is the only, uh, the only genus in family Ericidae. And it builds mesh webs like this, which can attract whole lot of insects. They live in communities like this as social spiders, and they have multiple entry tunnels of this sort. So, lot of animals, at least 100 to 200 animals can, or individuals can actually inhabit one nest. Depending upon the size of the nest, of course. So this is how the spider looks like. That is the retreat of one more of its species. Here we are looking at Stegodiphyus saracinorum. When we went to find out more about the spider, once we found that there is a silk retreat. If you can look at my hand, it goes from this place to almost the ground. This is how the nest looks like. This is the silk retreat of Stegodiphyus pacificus, which is a different species in the same genus. And we found out that it can build really, really huge silk nests. If you can see this, it starts from the top of the tree, goes down like this, touching the ground. And this is a closer look at how criblet silk looks like, covering the entire canopy. But this is just one individual spider. So these are not social spiders. Inside social spiders, these are individual nest builders as well. Here you see the egg sac of Stegodiphyus pacificus. Tell you a little story. When we collected the egg sac, we saw these babies hatching. It was interesting to see that the babies hatched. Can you notice something here? That there is a leg-like structure. And if you see behind, the entire structure of the female was actually lying here dead. So once we saw the babies hatch out, we could see that the mother was inside this web and actually was lying dried and dead like this. And we also found that these spiders were feeding on the mother. That is how we came to know that these spiders build individual webs, individual egg sacs. This is the egg sac, and this is the entire nest which I have tried to open after the babies were had hatched. Some of them we tried to put it back into nature, and one of them survived. And I mean, it could come back to the same habitat and start its own nest once again. So that was a complete circle for us, because mostly we do not find Stegodiphyus pacificus in the urban areas, and wherever we do, they do not appear to be found in colonies like Stegodiphyus saracinorum, which is the social spider. Here is one more predation technique by a Oikobidae member, which is Oikobius. There you can see that it had put a trap into which the ant actually walked in. Here you see how camouflaged it is on the wall. Some exact retreats of Oikobius. And okay, the video is a little shaky, but you can look at how it just runs around the spider to put more silk so that it gets entangled further and doesn't find any space to escape. These are also ant-eating spiders. They would predate on ants predominantly. So these techniques of how spiders actually hunt, how do they carry about their life processes, are extremely interesting only when you look at them from a very close angle. Otherwise, they would be just this simple nobody sitting here whom you would never notice, and their entire life cycle just goes by like that. Okay. A little about brush-footed spiders. Here, if you look at this megalomorph, which is a trapdoor spider, this is the nest of it with a door there opening up or in soil. And these are the little legs which have these furry brush like structures. If you can focus to my pointer here, these brush like things have also got iridescence in them. As they live in tunnels like this, which are really dark, probably this iridescence helps them during courtship, where they put all legs together and try to raise them up. They are sources of trapping little light, whatever possible, and would be glowing really bright when it is dark. So these brush footed creatures make impeccable nests in a wet soil and their tunnel and would keep hanging onto it. The moment there is an animal which crawls over, they would open the door and simply grab it inside. That is how these animals, more than vision, use sensation or their sensory uh, um, modes of understanding other creatures to predate or hunt rather than using their eyes. A little more about them. This is their egg sac, which we had tried to pull out. You can see the opening here with the door, and there is one more opening at the end where they could deposit the fecal matter. This entire thing is a U, sometimes a Y shaped structure. And here you can see the eyes of the animal, the mother here, and the egg sac here. Okay. The net casting spider, one of the most interesting ones which we have known, uh, with the largest eyes amongst all spiders, is again a master hunter, where it creates a net out of its silk and would actually cast it on a prey which passes by. So this is the hanging and dangling position in which it would stay, and it would keep a hold on the particular web which it builds in the form of a net which it can cast. From the way of its hunting or predation, it is called a net casting spider, where it can cast a net like that of a fisherman. Okay. Coming to some interesting spiders which would show their back just like it is some other animal and they do not exist. So if you look at the legs of Theridula, you would be able to understand that the legs are so insignificant. Like once they crawl them inside to the underside of the body, all what you can see is these dots. So they look like weird faces walking across. This is the egg sac, and they look like weird faces walking across on leaves, and they are very super tiny, such that it is not visible, or sometimes they look like bugs or beetles which are moving around on the leaves, and they would never appear like spiders. You see, the head is so small and the legs are so invisible, like very pale in their color and almost translucent. The babies, however, when they hatch, they become orange in color and they will slowly mold into becoming the mother like color, which is black to tan brown. If you ever come across, okay, some spiders like this one would also mimic plant hoppers. So mimicry is just endless. These ones, this is Poronsidia, which mimics a trash. So while this was collected, it was kept inside a box which was containing other spiders. Suddenly there was this trash ball which was starting to walk. And then we had to take more pictures to see that this is actually a spider. These are theridids and they can create a life of their own just out of trash, living in dry leaves or in fallen leaves on the ground. More of Foronsidia, where they choose which spot to exactly inhabit such that the body color completely merges. Here you see a part of the branch is broken and the color of the body of the spider is exactly similar to that where the branch is of a different color. So they would choose such places where they can simply go and rest and merge with the environment. So camouflage and sometimes mimicry. These two characteristics are the most important ones which they can use to hide themselves in plain sight. This is Molion. I'm not sure if you can really see it, but it has got three different uh, sharp, spiny structures, and they are very colorful as well. It's not clear in this picture, but dentition like pattern on the abdomen, which also resembles a little to gastrocantha, a famous kidney bean spider, or the beard and mustache spider, Bijuaranius. Some skytoads again with exacts, a little more of ant mimics. This is Thytesia, which I was telling you, is the mirror spiders. They have mirror-like structures, and these structures can actually change on their body. They can change the shape and structure of these mirror-like patches on the abdomen. This is Pusitia, and its specialty, while it can blend into the branches of plants and shrubs which exactly have similar colors, is actually very, very surprising. It is a master hunter, and it would simply hide in plain sight. If you can look at the body, this body color is also such that what it has on the plant where it hides. Hamataliwa, oxytate, endocysticus. Do you see how it positions itself at the end of a branch such that it is almost invisible? This is Stenolodlus lacerti and a little more of Silards, where they are trying to wave their legs and show off the colors. The rainbow's lacerti spider, which has got this red face, and would typically, the male would use this for courtship behavior, while where it opens its legs and does a little hockey pocky dance for the female. Lycosids with color on their chelicera, mostly during the courtship season while it is raining, and it can also be extremely dangerous during courtship because it can hunt down the male sometimes while in courtship. So that has been seen. This is the one with babies on its back and a whole lot of them. The parental care, which we have already seen. Some dictinidae trying to raise its abdomen and fan out silk to make sheet webs. Zodarids making igloo-shaped homes for themselves, where the egg sacs are put inside these igloo-shaped egg sacs, and the entire nest where the female would rest for the next 15-20 days before the eggs would hatch. This is a mating pair in courtship. Okay, more weird-looking spiders from Thomisidae, and these would appear like gall structures on the leaves. Imagine how globular this abdomen can look. And they all would mimic something or the other, which makes it look like something else and not a spider. Thank you for your patience. I hope you have been able to grasp a little of what I had to say. And I'm not sure how many of you were actually listening because I cannot see any of you. Okay. I think I can stop presenting and I can take a few questions if you wish to.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we'll have the questions. So yeah, someone has raised their hand. Raj Chaudhary. Sir asks, um, with
Okay.
respect to the concept of sacrifice, if the
Yes, yes. I can see the questions, Gayatri.
yeah, okay.
I can see Raj Chaudhary asking me something about matrophagy. So let me go ahead and answer that. This is a way of nature expressing itself, not just through matrophagy, but also this denotes why the mothers need to be killed and not the offsprings. So, like that while animals pass on their genes unto their next generation, their entire focus is to save those particular offsprings and take them to a level where they would be able to grow into adults. So the entire point of laying eggs is to uh, pass on the genes and make the species thrive, which is why, although there are some egg sacs in which cannibalism is also seen, but here it so happens that the mother would just lay one egg sac, which is why the number of babies which come out is really high. So nature's way of balancing these things are really interesting, and we cannot decide why they do not eat each other. One, because they are of equal strength. So one animal or one baby trying to attack the other would not be such a successful meal as it would be um, for something which is already kept. I did not put a picture here, but we have seen some saltacids also putting trophic eggs for their babies, which when they hatch, because some saltacids like maringo, if you remember, which I had shown you, have very small size. So what happens is these small little creatures, imagine maringo having babies, so they will be even smaller in size. What do they exactly eat when they grow up or when they hatch is what is interesting. So what they do is they would lay some in egg like structures which are actually trophic eggs on which these babies would predate, come to a sizable shape where they can themselves independently hunt. So yeah, nature's way of putting things in place is really really amusing, weird and mysterious. Yes, definitely you can unmute yourself and ask the questions if you wish. Thank you, Tanmaya. There is one more question from, I guess, uh, any possibility of extending spider work in Northeast India? I presume places in Mizoram and Manipur. Yeah, okay. We Northeast India is comparatively a very less studied area, I would say. Although Sikkim is now coming up with an interesting group where they are working, and a few friends in Assam are also doing quite some good work. But if you look at parts of other remote areas, like mentioned by Dr. Bora about Manipur and Mizoram, definitely, sir, if you get some permission there, we are open to working there. And I am sure the old world spiders of the rainforests which we have there as a biodiversity hotspot as well would unravel so many more mysterious species which are yet to be discovered. Looking forward to it, definitely. Okay, Tanmaya asks, my question is, have you come across any coloration in spider egg sacs? Yes, there are colorations in spider egg sacs. Mostly if you look at Argiope egg sacs, they would paint it moss green in color so that it can merge with the moss color on tree barks where they would normally leave them. Sometimes they would leave them on the egg sacs, sorry, the silk itself, on the webs itself. And there are other spider egg sacs which are colored. For example, Corinidae sometimes paints it tan brown in color, sometimes light brown in color. There are many other spiders which would have colored egg sacs, definitely. It depends upon the family also. If you look at Therididae, like I showed you, this particular spider, Meotipa, it has got colored egg sacs which is similar to the color of the fungus on which it would place itself or try to camouflage its presence. Okay. Then may I have more questions when you come to meet me next in my office. Prakriti, I have one question about silk weaving in signature spider webs. What is the function of those dark threads, and how does divergence in web designs in same regions occur? Is there such a thing as a superior design? Okay. Well, we haven't gone so much into designs of spider silk, but yes, if you are referring to stabilimentum in signature spider silk or the webs, I will be glad to tell you that there are different hypotheses why we have these on the webs. Some say it is to deflect birds, some say it is there to attract insects, others opine that they are UV deflectors. So, although the UV hypothesis has been ruled out primarily, but bees stabilimentum actually creates, and when you see, they have paired all the 8 legs to look like 4, and they would hide those legs on those stabilimentum and would stay in the center as one particular, a single bodied creature. These stabilimentum mostly would help them to look like a larger animal, sometimes to actually deflect predators. And I'm not sure if insects are attracted to it, because insects would anyway get stuck to the other silk areas and would, be stuck there as food. So mostly it is to deflect prey, and that looks like extended legs or bigger surface area of the silk, where the birds would basically not get stuck there, looking at it as a larger animal sometimes. So different theories, actually, we do not really know how and why they help the animal. They are definitely, yes. Also, if you've asked about regions, well, as far as my knowledge goes, we find similar webs of argeo across India, but the stabilimentum, yes, it can change across species, if not region. Sometimes they make bigger webs, sometimes they make smaller ones, but stabilimentum is definitely there. We have also found it in Nephila sometimes. Nephila webs also have been traced with stabilimentum once in a while, and in cyclosa. So cyclosa, they make circular stabilimentum, which is very, very peculiar and very clear. And in Arjup, like they make 4 different stabilimentum in 4 different places, coinciding with the legs, sometimes even 2 in a diagonal fashion. Okay.
Hello, madam. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Hi,
No,
Adi.
hi. It was a very interesting presentation. I mean, the phenomena you have portrayed, I mean, it was very nice to listen. So my name is Anuj. I am an assistant professor in Kerala Agriculture University.
Okay.
So I work with flies. I'm an entomologist.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to, one of your slide, I felt it very interesting to just to make your attention onto the slide. It was slide number 23.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have shown actually on a flower, spider was capturing a what you reportedly told, what you told as a bee was actually a fly, in fact. And that
Okay.
slide actually captured my attention in the sense that it is a hoverfly. I mean, it mimics that hoverfly mimics a bee. So for
Right.
humans, unless and until we are used to see it, we feel that it is a bee. And it is quite natural that many of us confuse it with bees. And my fascination was that spider has already learned to crack it. I mean, it can. I mean, that's a proof. That photograph is a proof of that. I mean, it
Yes,
can
yes.
easily differentiate between a bee and a bee mimic. That's fly. That belongs to genus Aristalinus. Your slide number 23, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
so
that
it's
is true. Maybe I must have misspelled it, but what I have actually seen is that the thomisus can actually take down bees from Xylocopa genus as
oh,
well.
is it? Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So that
Yeah.
may be a mistake on my part, but not on the part of the spiders who can actually take down bees.
Oh,
So
spiders
we
do
have
take down
reported,
bees. Okay, that's
yes,
great.
yes, yes.
I mean, I thought that
I have
because
also
they
shown
looks
you
like
one where
bee. Yeah.
sorry, yeah.
I thought that since they looks like bee, I mean, they are bee mimics. These Aristolinus, they are generally
Mhm.
the honeybee mimics.
Right.
So
That picture
that,
definitely, yes, that was a
yeah,
that should have been a fly. But there was
yeah.
one more picture with oxyopes which had taken down a bee, if you remember, where I had shown you another slide where there was a lynx spider that took down a bee. So bees
Oh,
have been, like good food for spiders, and they do take down bees
oh, yeah.
pretty
So
often.
they have learned to avoid the sting. I mean, evolutionarily, they have
Yes,
learned to,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That
Okay.
is how the ambush. They would look like
Yeah,
the flower. The bee doesn't know where to sting.
yeah, yeah. And one small doubt I have. I mean, if you look at the diversity, where do
Mm-hmm.
we expect more? I mean, is it in the temperate? I mean, the Himalayan part, or if you get it more on the southern tropicals? Where do we expect more diversity of the spiders?
It's actually canopy based. So mountain regions have got a different diversity. If you ask me the density, that's a different thing. How
I
frequently
mean,
would
the
we find?
number, if I ask the number, I mean, when you
Right,
compare
the
it with
tropics definitely, not
okay,
temperate areas, but the tropical areas would definitely have mostly like rainforests and equatorial zones. They would have more diversity than the ones where we have a little colder regions, and spiders do not survive cold well.
okay.
So, yeah, definitely the tropics.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. It was very nice listening you. Thank you.
There is one more thing I have to tell you that there is this. I forget the genus of Diptera. I may have to send you the picture, but there
Okay.
is this particular, Dipteran genus which actually parasitizes spider. So not just that the spiders are the only smart ones. Sometimes
Okay.
it gets parasitized by the
Why does he?
uh,
Okay. Is it
and when we found the spider, we I thought that we will just keep it and just grow it into. I thought that it's gravid, so it'll lay an egg sac or something. But what we saw was it got zombified almost. It became a zombie, and then what
okay?
came out of it was a dipteran fly.
Oh,
So
is it a bigger fly or a smaller one? I mean, like
smaller,
house fly?
smaller flies. Definitely, it can't
Okay.
be a bigger fly. It's a small fly. I
Okay.
just forget the genus of the Diptera. I'll get back to you if you can put down your email. And we have
Yeah.
been
Sure.
studying that for quite a while. But
Oh,
we could
good.
not get to the species of the fly because Dipterans, like are really difficult to identify sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So if it is possible, I will send across the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll put my
Because
mail ID there in the chat box.
sure, sure, sure. Or you can ask Georgie to maybe send it across to me on WhatsApp so
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Sure.
we
Sure.
can connect later. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? You can either raise your hand or just drop it in the chat box.
I think it has gone way beyond time. My God, how long had I been speaking for? Goodness.
Uh, Madam, as per uh, like life expectancy curve, they are coming under J-shaped curve. So there is no maternal care. So how can you defend this?
Sorry, I did not get your question, please.
According to life expectancy curve, they are coming under spiders coming under J-shaped curve. As per their
Mm-hmm.
no maternal care, so their life is very short period. There is no maternal
Mm-hmm.
care in insects also, in arachnid also. So how can you defend this?
Well, I'm not sure if you're asking about their J curve because that may not be the
The life
case for all
expectancy,
families.
yes, life expectancy curve, J-shaped curve, yes.
Mm-hmm. But we have
Uh, yes.
reported maternal care in these particular animals also because some of the families are so what do I say, they're so small that without maternal care probably they would not be able to survive because they are equally vulnerable as well. So whatever curve we may draw out of their life expectancy curve and all that stuff, we need to see how natural history unravels itself. So to keep these particular creatures and their gene pool safe, maternal care has not only been recorded, but it has been established very deeply with mothers providing some milk-like substances in some genus, some trophic eggs, sometimes killing themselves with lysozymes and body fluids which are secreted from within, and the babies also feeding on them. So maternal care is not just a stint, it is a prominent characteristic feature in arachnids and in spiders. Even if you look at scorpions, you see they carry the babies on their back till the time they are not independent. And that is how nature is uh, about itself. I mean, whether they fit into the curve or not, this particular characteristic feature is definitely there. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that is how it is.
Yes. Some species camouflage and some species also change their color. How it is possible? what is
Some are
mechanism behind this?
camouflaged and the others? I'm sorry, your voice is breaking a bit in between. Could you write your question? I just heard camouflaged. You mean to say some of them are camouflaged and
They compress and also they change their color according to the environmental
they
condition.
change their
Or
color? Yes, yes,
how it is
yes.
possible? What is the mechanism behind this?
Uh, how is it possible?
Yeah, yeah. Who is mechanism behind it?
Okay, the chromatophores are actually made up of different substances. Like in the happy face, we saw that they are guanine blocks underneath the skin of the spider. So they are placed very superficially, which can actually change according to the environment. So this has been seen in crab spiders as well, some theridids as well. Like I said about Phytocia, they can change the shape of the shape and structure of whatever is there beneath the skin, and some little modifications can come. So this is one way where they have cleverly and very intelligently used this particular character of theirs, where they change it to adapt to that particular habitat. So why do they need to change? For example, in crab spiders, if you see, they cannot become black to white. That cannot be the change. Sometimes from light yellow to light green to light brown, again back to dusky white, something like this. Within a range, they can change the shade of the color to suit which flower they are exactly on. And this has been reported in many different families, most prominently in crab spiders and some of the theridids. That is because the chromatophores can actually be, you know,
Are there any
they can
genes
move them.
expressing this camouflage or color change behavior?
Genes being expressed,
Uh,
definitely there are genes responsible for this. Without that, it cannot work. But we have not tracked it down to the gene level where we would study which gene is responsible. But definitely there are genes which are responsible for expression of color on the spider abdomen.
okay, ma'am.
Probably with happy face, we will take it up because we found it polymorphic. And there we find that they express in patterns of, I'm sorry, red, black, and white. Sometimes absence of them on the entire abdomen also. So yes, uh, that is a very interesting aspect of the expression of colors, and uh, probably it needs to be taken up further.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, the wasp predating on the spiders, and also they're like making the mud first was also sometime the ground also. The
Mm-hmm.
underground also the wasp they make nest, and they're
Mm-hmm.
parasitizing not on the wasp also, some larva also. But my question is whether they're species specific or what? The wasp they're predating
No, the
on a wasp.
wasp is not species specific of what we have found, because the wasps collect Neoscona, they collect thomisids, sometimes they collect salticids. Like I showed you, they have collected philodromidae. So they are not specific to which kind of spider they would pick. But what I have seen is they mostly avoid spiders with lot of hair on their, legs.
Buddy.
So
Yes.
ones which are little clean bodied are preferred, understandably, because the larva can feed on them easily. The spiny ones would be more of hair than whatever little fluid they have in their body or flesh they have in their body, which is why more of clean bodied spiders are picked up. That has been my experience with wasps, which pick up spiders, mostly Scelifron, which I have studied.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, what is the importance of tarantula?
Okay, can we take a little more question from another person, and you can keep typing your questions in between, right? There are
Okay,
two
okay,
more
ma'am.
questions. Let me take one from them.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody else
Yeah,
wants to ask, what
yeah.
are the
Good evening,
threats
ma'am.
of spider? Okay,
This
and
is
there
Dr.
is
Abbas from Srinagar.
Dr.
Can you hear
Abbas.
me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So, absolutely wonderful talk.
Thank
Uh,
you.
my apologies, I missed the part of it. I'm sure you talked about the diversity and other aspects from the country. I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, have you done any studies from the Himalayan region, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand? Because I come from Jammu and Kashmir and I happen to know one taxonomist of spiders, Dr. A. Khan, Akhtar Ali Khan, who
Mm-hmm.
happened to pass away a few months back. Have you come
Okay.
across his work or have you done any of the studies? Because we are interested in this, as spiders happen to be very voracious feeders of small-bodied
Insects.
insects that are pests.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, yeah, yeah. Anything?
We will be happy to actually extend our studies to Jammu and Kashmir. Currently, we have not conducted any surveys there, although I have visited the place. I've seen Dachigam as well and some other rural countryside in Kashmir, but we have not conducted segregated surveys there, which I would love to do. Um, Please contact us and we would be happy to help you out if you are trying to do anything there. And we have done some surveys in Uttarakhand, like the Theridion Himalana came up. And like I said, my co-author is there, and I also sometimes happen to visit there. We do studies in Uttarakhand because the montane forest is something which attracts me a lot. The diversity there is so different from my tropical dry deciduous forests, which we have in Odisha, and the wet evergreen, which we have in Kerala. It is absolutely awesome to find out diversity which is so different. So some of my friends in Dubai have worked on Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve. They have worked on Uttarakhand diversity, but Jammu Kashmir will be a new landscape for me, and it's definitely very promising in the terms of diversity.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. We'll try to contact.
Sure. Okay, coming back to this question, what are the threats of spider? Like I said, oh, this is Pramod sir.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. It's such a pleasure to see you here. I wasn't even aware that you're listening to me.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was just thinking, how come DAV Unit 8 is flashing here? I was thinking somebody from Kerala may be having some DAV Unit 8 as well.
Yes,
Anyway,
ma'am. Yes, yeah.
the threats, sir, would be mostly animals who predate on spiders, although spider is a top predator in its own food chain. But like I said, wasps are there who can predate on it. And there can be birds. There is a bird called spider hunter, which we definitely don't like. And there are so many other animals who would pick up spiders as food. So bats at night and birds in the daytime, wasps in the daytime, geckos sometimes on and off. So yeah, we have seen spiders being predated by many animals, but that is natural predation. What you
Natural.
ask for is threat.
Yes,
Now
yes,
threat
ma'am.
is something very different. Like I told you, I have shown you a matrophagy exhibiting spider where the spider is giving its life away, almost the mother for the babies. Those spiders were previously found in Khandagiri in Kanjia area of Bhubaneswar, if you understand, and they are now not seen there because we tend to cut down all the scrub vegetation. All untouched vegetation is gone. So mostly when we bury wetlands and when we cut off untouched vegetation, these spiders lose their very crucial homes. Sometimes they look like unattended annabana jami guhanti. They just say that this is unnecessary grassland here. Some would say this is unnecessary forest land, or maybe scrub vegetation around, but that is basically home to so many
With
species of
spiders,
spiders.
exactly.
So that is the biggest threat, which is habitat destruction.
Okay.
I showed you one brush-footed spider. You won't imagine it stays underneath soil. We have found it beneath soil making tunnels. So the amount of pesticide which goes in, the amount of digging unnecessarily which we do, and all the soil health which has been deteriorating would be affecting them without us actually knowing. So threats are there everywhere.
Yes.
We need to, preserve the pristine habitat, whether in the urban or in the wild. Thank you so much for that
Okay,
question.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It was so nice presentation, ma'am. My
Thank
daughter
you so
was
much.
also here with me. She was also
Oh,
listening.
nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sadly,
Thank
my
you.
camera doesn't work today. I'm not sure why. This is some funny thing. Or else it would have been happy to see all of you. Anyway, Georgie, should we close or are there more questions? Gayatri, anyone who's there?
Ma'am, I think that's it. So
Great.
You're identifying the species on the basis of morphology or by doing meta barcoding?
No, barcoding comes very late. What we first do is look at the morphology. Sometimes morphology can be very misleading, so we also check genitalia. So, morphotaxonomy, like we call it, caters to morphology on the surface and looking at genitalia. After that, only we go for barcoding when it is a cryptic species. Usually, barcoding would not help if there is not enough data about it. When you blast a particular sequence and you do not find enough similar animals being sequenced, it is of no use. So, barcoding can help in cases of cryptic species when we have data about that particular animal available on the gene bank.
Okay, okay, thank. Ma'am, can you suggest any latest book, Spiders of India, their identification?
I will definitely share it on email. You can contact me. My email
Sure.
is devispiders@gmail.com. Okay. I'll just
Okay,
type it
ma'am,
here.
I want to add one thing. I have
Okay.
noticed so many time in ecosystem. I've also captured some videos that Taylor Bird also they are collecting spiders to make
Yes.
stitching
Yes.
tools. Yes, yes.
They don't collect spiders, but the web.
Sorry, it's the spider. This been yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Very nice observation. They do that. Even sunbirds collect spider egg sacs to decorate their
yeah. Sunburst
bird
also.
nest.
Yeah, that also I have captured.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Nice observation. Thank you for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. I think it was an amazing session. I'm not sure if people were really listening, but yeah, I hope I have been able to make a few um, arachnophiles out of arachnophobes and more when we meet next, and probably some more sessions where we can in detail talk about mimicry, my favorite subject, and other subjects as well. Look at spiders, see how interesting they are, tap their intelligence, and observe, document, put them on a naturalist, and keep looking at them till they can really make sure you have got them. Thank you very much. Bye bye from an arachnophile to all other arachnophiles out there. Good night.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an informative and engaging session. Before you all leave the session, I would like to thank everybody. And before we conclude, I would like to invite you all to join us for tomorrow. A new session of Biorix is starting tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Tales of the Untold, a series through which we aim to explore contributions in science that deserve to be heard and remembered. And our first session will be Beyond the Double Helix, creating Rosalind Franklin's legacy, a great female scientist presented by Alicia Anil, BSc Zoology honors student at St. Joseph's College, Devagiri, Kozhikode. We also look forward to having you all with us to begin the series tomorrow. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you everyone for joining us. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Same time, 7:30. Thank you.
Thank you.